Hello, my name is 1T, and in this series, I want to take time to appreciate action movies, specifically hand-to-hand combat. Nowadays, these big budget movies are always trying to outdo the other with crazy CGI and big stunts. So the use of quick camera cuts get put into the fight scenes to make them look more exciting when they don't have time to focus on the fighting. So I just want to show love to the originators and the ones that are still holding it down during these times, which are these hands. This series appreciates the movies that has a huge focus on fight choreography. The next movie I want to talk about is Ip Man. It's the age of martial arts, and here we have a celebration for such. Our main character, Master Ip, decides to take the day off to relax, until he gets an unexpected visitor from another master. Master Lee is new in town and just opened a new martial arts club. He wants to spar with Master Ip, who is known for being the best in Wing Chun in town. Master Ip tries to say no, but Master Lee politely yet aggressively suggests these hands for dinner. Ip Man's rebuttals that I would rather have dinner with my family, but bruh said that's fine, I'll wait. I came here for hands, and I'm not leaving here without the hands I came for. My type of energy. Bro was so polite with it though, he even got invited to dinner and a conversation afterwards. Look at how nice and peaceful they are. This is so heartwarming. They're about to scrap. Before they start, a wanderer outside is peeping to see the fight, since masters fighting each other was rare back then. So they get started, and Master Ip is giving Master Lee a master class. Here we get to see the introduction of the famous style Wing Chun. Ip Man's skill far surpasses his opponent, so the sparring session is over pretty fast. And promises to keep it between them.
Got your ass whooped tonight.
The Wanderer, however, spills the beans on everything he saw, and word gets around really quick. Meanwhile, Master Ip meets up with Chen, his brother, and during the conversation, he finds out that everyone has heard about the fight. Eventually, word gets back to Master Lee, and he searches for the source ASAP. Chen offers Master Ip a partnership in a new business out of love, and Master Ip don't know how to handle this. Before he can humbly decline, the wandering mischief interrupts to try to make Ip Man verify his story. You see, while Master Ip was talking, Master Lee was downstairs roughing him up until he ran up there. Now almost embarrassed, Lee's reputation is saved by the mischief's older brother and a local officer. The officer tries to have a metaphorical dick measuring contest with the martial artist, but comes up short. Respectfully.
I apologize for my outburst.
His brother wants him to think about it, and at the same time, Chen asks if his son can train under him. With a lighthearted no, he entertains a student from a different master for a bit, neglecting his own son and losing daddy and hubby points at the same time. She uses her superior style, Wifey Chun, and disperses the room within seconds. After a quick scolding, he takes a look at the picture his son was trying to show him and thinks, damn, this is pretty cool. The next day, a mysterious martial artist comes into town and demands smoke from all the masters in the town. The very first master he challenges immediately generates an ongoing crowd. The fight starts, and in the beginning, it's an even dance. The mysterious martial artist lands a counter kick on the master, however, landing the first hit. That right there just cost him the fight. See, the mystery man's chess move just caused the master to lose full concentration on the fight, causing him to continually make mistakes and second guessing himself until he was defeated. Every master knew what time it was after that, so they got themselves ready. A weapons master called next and started his dance with the mystery man. Weapon master was exposed quick, however. Since he was limited to dance with his accommodated weapon only, mystery martial artist still used his hands and feet to counter and maneuvered through his opponent's guard to victory. Meanwhile, Master Ip is working on apologizing for being a bad family man, when he gets interrupted by the Wanderer's older brother Lin to tell him about the mystery fighter, who is facing Master Lee right now. Lee puts up the best fight yet, offering good offense and defense. The mystery fighter uses Lee's skills against him as he uses his timing to set him up for counterattacks. When he lands enough counters to finally slow Lee down, he goes on his full assault, ending the match with a double spin that Lee didn't see coming fast enough. Delivering these hands to everyone can take a lot out of you though, so the new crew goes into town and grabs something to eat. As they relish in their victories, the shopkeeper then comes in and bursts their bubbles, and tells them that they haven't even faced the final boss of the town yet, Master Ip. So you already know what time it is. The mystery master shows up to Master Ip's house and formally addresses himself as Jin, and immediately challenges Ip Man. Ip Man declines the fight in his home in order to not sleep on the couch tonight. But after Master Jin roasts Ip Man and his style in her face, she was like, oh hell nah, beat his ass baby. You see that smile? That's an approval smile. Ip Man is smiling at that man like, bruh, she said I could beat your ass, so I'm about to beat your ass. So the scene sets itself up for the first major fight of the movie, and once all the spatial conditions were met, Master Jin starts the match with a flurry of punches. Jin is on the offense, but can't do a single thing about Master Ip's defense. Master Ip continues the defense flex, not even trying to counter. Once Jin talks about his son, however, Master Ip is now ready to be offensive, both fight-wise and disrespectfully. Wait. Not only did Master Ip just disrespected Master Jin's cheeks and the space between his nipples, but then he bitch slapped him with his left leg. Look at him just die there in shame for like 0.7 seconds. Then Jin makes history as being the first person to grab the steel after getting their ass whooped. Defense still can't be touched as Ip Man dances around him until he finds something more suitable for the occasion. He is whipping this man like he came home with bad grades on his report card. That was a literal ass whooping. Jin walks away in defeat, and Master Ip is now being praised all over town for saving the honor in the city of Foshan. In fact, he is praised so much that they are pushing him to start a school, something that he's been trying to avoid, but the people are persistent. Unfortunately, none of this matters as history is not in their favor. That year, 1937, the Marco Polo incident happened where Japan invaded China, leaving China in turmoil. By the end of the year, the city had went into poverty, with majority businesses shutting down. Food was getting scarce, and the scariest of all, the invasion led to more than half of the city's population dead. In 1 year, a city of 300,000 became a city of 70,000, with Ip Man being one of the few survivors. But he and his wife lost everything, so they are pretty much another struggling family. They try their hardest to keep their heads up, but it's difficult during these times of depression. During a food run, Master Ip happens to see Chen, who ends up being successful in his business ventures. He wants to offer his brother money, but Ip Man is not feeling like he needs a handout, so he once again politely declines. This prompts Ip Man to start looking for a job, which are scarce, but due to his reputation, he luckily finds employment. While working, Lin reappears in the story and runs into Ip Man. Ip Man and Lin get to catching up for a bit, but then is interrupted when a Japanese soldier arrives challenging martial artists who are working there to combat with their country's fighters. No one cares until a bag of food is on the table, and due to the desperate situations, volunteers are now lining up. The volunteers are then taken to a dojo, where they can even see other masters are competing for rice. The Japanese general is a skilled fighter himself and wants in on the action and prepares himself to challenge 3 fighters at once. Lin is one of the fighters chosen, and the moment the round starts, the general dominates with a 6-hit combo that knocks everyone to the ground. The other 2 fighters want no smoke, and with that they give up. But Lin, while outclassed, doesn't quit. Resulting in Lin being beaten to death. The next day, Ip Man notices Lin never came back and starts to get worried. At the same time, more Japanese soldiers once again ask for more volunteers to fight. Realizing that the last batch never came back, Ip Man decides to go and take a look for himself. As he gets there, he notices Master Lee winning another bag of rice. Things go south as Lee gets too confident and requests 3 fighters at once for more rice. Looking at this fight, in my opinion, I would say that the hands of time is what really defeated him. You can tell that he is more skilled than all 3 of them combined, being how he is able to maneuver around them. But you can see he's slower and his recovery time is taking a lot longer than the 3 youths he's fighting. Master Lee admits defeat and tries to take the rice and leave, but is shot in the head for doing so after losing. This wasn't approved by the general and he is pissed. He's a fellow martial artist after all, and he found it so disrespectful he is ready to shoot the shooter. But you know who was even more pissed though? Ip Man was so pissed, infuriated, enraged, maddened, bothered, irked, peeved, ticked, nettled, exasperated, and most of all vexed that he ordered a 10-piece combo, all smoked. And after metaphorically laying one brother to rest next to another fallen brother, Ip Man is out for blood. Master Ip makes the first move and puts one of them to sleep off rip, then starts dancing around 4 other would-be assailants. Ip Man is not in the mood and shows how deadly Wing Chun can be. This man got so shook, he forgot that he had to fight. Now he screwed himself over. Man, I would have just played dead. Ip Man earns his rice, but he makes it very clear that he doesn't care about any of that and leaves with the bloody rice and potato to share the unfortunate news with their families and loved ones. Ip Man then scolds the ex-Chinese cop for turning a blind eye to the horrors. He tries to defend himself, but Master Ip don't want to hear any of that. Ip Man walks in his home after working overtime with no pay and seeks comfort in his wife. At this point, he feels helpless. Nothing he's doing is working or is helping in the end, and times just keep getting worse. His wife tries to calm him down, letting him know that he is loved and that's all that matters. But Ip Man is still conflicted, because as much as his wife's words give him hope, he knows that not being able to keep his family afloat and not being able to save his friends will eventually eat him up inside. Next scene, we have a transportation of goods, when the drivers get stopped and raided by none other than Master Jin himself. It also turns out that Lin's brother is still alive and well. Their next stop is Chen's warehouse, but things doesn't go as planned as Chen and the company is actually broke.
我明白，我根本冇錢。
Chen's son runs away and makes it to Ip Man's house, and they both hurry to the scene. It's too late, however, and Ip Man only sees the aftermath. A bruised Chen comes to praise his brother's martial arts and pleads that he is needed more than ever. Seeing a warehouse of defenseless people that needed to be defended, Master Ip changes his mindset on teaching and decides it's about time to have students. I love this montage. It doesn't show you a bunch of random ass exercises that makes the fighters look more skilled. Nah, this montage is so grounded that you can actually take real notes. The key in the scenes is to understand that they are focusing on form and muscle memory. Each scene relates to those key features, and these few minutes display an excellent job on how to practice them and how to get used to your fighting style. Meanwhile, the general is getting irritated that he hasn't seen Ip Man again. The ex-Chinese cop tries his hardest not to snitch, but he's not built like that and eventually caves. They arrive at Ip Man's place and the Japanese soldiers start harassing his son and wife, and Ip Man is not having any of that. So the cop redeems himself by freeing Ip Man and hiding him, even taking a beating and not giving in this time. Meanwhile, Jin comes back and tries to collect money from the warehouse, regardless of them having none. And this time, they are ready to fight back. Or so they thought. While they were getting the moves down, you could see that they needed more sparring with an actual person. It's okay though, because Ip Man is on time this time and stops the fighting almost immediately. At first, Jin don't want any smoke, but he is in a hungry dog back in the corner mode, and he decides he might as well risk it all. The last stand doesn't end well, and Lin's brother joins the fight despite Master Ip's plea not to. He don't listen, and both Jin and Lin get spanked. Ip Man reaches to Lin before they leave, and he talks some sense into him while telling him about his brother's passing. Later that night, ex-cop is in a panic to tell Ip Man not to react. This is because the Japanese military will do anything to get their hands on Ip Man at this point, including terrorizing the people. Ip Man cannot bear that type of burden, so he volunteers to be tribute like Katniss. At this point, the general actually wants Ip Man to teach his army kung fu, but Ip Man refuses and challenges him to a 1v1 instead. The general accepts, with intent on diminishing the morality of the Chinese even more. The next exchange between Ip Man and the general is good because they don't speak the same language, but through body tone and language, they truly communicate. The general is trying to be formal in his approach, but Ip Man will not entertain his formality after everything he has done to his people. I'm going to take a wild guess and say that they didn't want to leave. But my dog Chen said, I made a promise to keep you safe, whether you the fuck like it or not. But this moment draws out an impactful moment from Ip Man's wife, as she laments on not fully supporting him in his passion. You see, during moments like this, people naturally feel regret and wishes they did things differently during the times where they feel like there's absolutely nothing they can do. At that moment, and at this very moment, Ip Man is representing China on his back, walking with determination to the ring. Tensions are high as the Chinese and Japanese both know that this won't be just a friendly match. In fact, they actually ask your boy Ip to take a dive. That man don't even know how to swim. He ain't taking a dive for shit. They show their forms of respect, and the long wait is finally over. After a chess game of hands, Master Ip makes the first strike. Now that the general's awake, he more carefully approaches Ip Man and continues to be the aggressor. Ip Man catches his balance and is able to maneuver his way back into the middle of the ring. After that, they just start dancing. Until the general is able to one-up Master Ip and deliver a nice kick combination. But it's short-lived. The general makes a fatal mistake in fighting a master which is doing the same move twice, which completely changes the momentum. Ip Man takes this moment and decides to finish him off with a brutality. These fucking combos. Cheers erupted, then ended just as fast as the bullet that pierced Master Ip Man. The Japanese army was too salty for their own good and caused an uproar that they couldn't even control because of their actions. Chaos ensues, and during all of the commotion, Ip Man and his family is able to flee the city. The movie ends telling us how Ip Man lived his life after leaving the city, how the war ends, and his accomplishment. Now, I'm not a historian level YouTuber yet, so y'all just gonna have to do the research if you want to learn more. Trust me, it's worth it. But there's nothing wrong with starting with this movie. Not only will you get a good taste of the history, but there's real emotional depth in this movie that was displayed just as beautifully as the choreography. Please watch if you haven't. The next movie I'm going to give my flowers to is Ip Man 2. Like if you liked the video, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Until next time, y'all be easy.